But I want to start with the winner, Tom Brady. Now, he did throw 3 interceptions. He only completed 55% of his balls. He did throw 3 touchdowns. And if I'm being totally fair, I thought his teammates let him down in the first half. There was only maybe 1 misfire in the first half. The rest hit teammates in the hands. Like Leonard Fournette, hand it to him, don't throw it to him. So here's where I've been on Brady. Right? I have often said on this show for years, the best quarterback in terms of skill set, attitude, demeanor, ability to step up when his team needs it. Like, to me, the best I've seen is Aaron Rodgers. He can make every throw, can make every play. Except he didn't. Now, could I go back throw by throw and say he played better than Brady? Yeah. But playing quarterback is not just about making every throw, about making every play. And I'm not one of these guys that'll go on television and say he doesn't raise the level of his teammates. I think that's ludicrous. I think he's made many a guy's career. But what I will tell you is I don't know why guys continue to try and find fault with what Tom Brady brings to the table. Just because you're not the best quarterback in terms of skill, this is the LeBron argument. He brings a professionalism. He brings an expectation. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, someone predicting or expecting something, and this prediction or expectation coming true simply because the person or people believe it will. And the person's resulting behavior or people's resulting behavior will fulfill that belief. Well, we're going to win because we got Brady. And you know what? They won. And they got Brady. I like Rob Parker. He's a friend of mine. But the more he says the whole luck, like no human being is that lucky. There is something to somebody who just wins, who just finds a way. There's a play here or a play there. Yes, he threw he had 2 arm punts in the second half. 2 arm punts and a misfire. But he also, on a big third down, found Rob Gronkowski. He also threw a ball that was catchable that turned out to be pass interference to get them their last first down. And he threw an absolute dime to Scotty Miller at the end of the first half, 48 yards in the air, in his hands, picking on the same defensive back they picked on most of the game. Look, if it happens once, it's a little lucky. If it happens 2, all right, you're fortunate, but you're skilled. It happens. The dude has been to 10 Super Bowls. 10 Super Bowls. And, oh, yeah, by the way, his best team went 60-0. The next year, they brought everybody back. Were highly motivated. He tore his ACL. He wasn't the same for a couple years. So you take out a couple of years, the prime of his career, and he's still been to 10 Super Bowls. We need a stop and desist with anyone saying anything questioning the legitimacy of 10 Super Bowls. And that includes my good friend Rob Parker, who calls him the luckiest of all time. No human being is that lucky. When it happens time and time again. And look, I still believe that Belichick will be fine. He's just as likely to put a competitive team out there and to be deep in the playoffs next year, considering how many games they won without most of their defense and with a quarterback who couldn't throw a football. Here's Bruce Arians after the win on what Tom Brady means to this team.
This trophy, the belief he gave everybody on this organization that this could be done. It only took one man.
And look, it wasn't smooth at first. They were 7-5 before the bye week. He didn't look comfortable standing in the pocket and throwing the ball downfield. Took him a while, and he's still not great, not perfect with Mike Evans. It took him a while to decide, okay, Cameron Brate really is the guy, but I can still use Rob Gronkowski in spots, and they used Rob Gronkowski as a blocker more than a pass catcher, with the exception of that third down reception. Did they get fortunate in a couple calls? Yeah. Sure. No question. But that's not why they won. They won because their defensive line was phenomenal. They won because Brady got them a 28-10 lead when the Packers made mistake after mistake in the first half. They won, and they just held on. Right? Just held on. Aaron Jones fumbles, they go up 28-10, and they just held on. And the last time I checked, they give championships to the team who has one more point than the opponent. That's it. There are no style points. There is no BCS committee or a college football playoff committee. There's just who wins the game. And Brady has done it more than anyone in the history of the sport. Matter of fact, he's now in 10 Super Bowls. The most anyone else has been to is 5 Super Bowls. That is ludicrous. It's unfathomable. It will never be touched. Never. Never. You see just how fragile it is. The Kansas City Chiefs are a machine. They're the best team in the NFL. But they're not going to have their two tackles for the Super Bowl? It's crazy. It's crazy. I search for words. I search for some way to affirm the belief that he's the greatest of all time, and he just is. Some guys just know how to win, and just some guys lose all the time. And it's most of the time not their fault. But something about it, when they walk in the building, like, we're not here to win. When Brady walks in the building, you're like, we're here to win. You only bring, it's like in agenting, you only hire Drew Rosenhaus if you want to get every last dollar. Right? You don't only call a divorce attorney if you want to get a divorce. And you only call Tom Brady if you want to win football games. Because when you bring him in, everyone feels like, okay, this guy is solely about winning. I don't know what it is. I can't put a finger on it. I don't think skill set wise there's anything that sets him super elite. Matter of fact, he's a contradiction because I was told that quarterbacks had to be more athletic and move even better. And you know what? He never moved from his spot yesterday. And it didn't matter. 10 Super Bowls. I'm not a Patriot fan. I wish I was. I'm definitely not a Buccaneer fan. Wish I was there as well. Because if you got that guy at the helm, everyone's like, okay, I know what the deal is. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you end up getting that Super Bowl. Maybe it's because of Brady, maybe it's not, or maybe it's just because of the belief that Brady gives you a chance. I know what we do when we say, hey, the Packers lost on an interception, on a pass interference call. And it would have been fascinating, right? If the Buccaneers don't get it, it's ruled incomplete. I mean, that's all you can want in sports is Aaron Rodgers with the football down 8 driving. Would have been ever better down 5. But the Packers had the best red zone offense in football. They were 2 for 4 in the red zone, and they picked off Tom Brady 3 times and scored 7 points off those interceptions. It's just not enough. Not enough. You know, this is the exact same thing happened with the New Orleans Saints with the pass interference call. Maybe not the exact same thing because the Saints actually got the ball back, and the Saints had just had the ball. But that's where it's similar. It's like, look, I get that you can sit here and go, Matt LaFleur shouldn't have kicked the field goal. Probably right. But they had not gotten a yard in their 3 previous, and they really had one real positive play in the red zone. That was a touchdown to Devontae Adams, and even that came down to 3rd down. So I look at it and think, man, the Packers, they didn't lose because of that play. That play sealed the game. They lost because they got the ball at the end of the first half in ideal time, score, situation to flip the game. Go down and score, then you get the ball back out of the half, you score again, and the other team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, does not even get the football. They couldn't do that. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw a touchdown, doesn't throw the interception, that possession never happens. Mike Pettin going man-to-man with only one safety high. If that doesn't happen, it's a different game. Different game. I didn't think it was a blown call. It was actually the right call. I thought there were other calls that were equally physical or even more physical. But come on, man, he had a whole hand of his undershirt. It is what it is, and everybody saw what it is. If you can't score in the red zone, and you're the best red zone team in the NFL the entirety of the season, and you don't score your 2 of 4 in red zone trips, what do you want us to do?
Where are you at with the whole, they let him play for most of the game, and then it got a little ticky-tack at the biggest moment of the game? Are you...
I know, I'm a let him play guy. I thought the jersey grab, I don't know how you let that go. I just don't. That's where I am with it. I don't think I think you have to call that one. I just do.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, because
I feel like any other incidental contact, and I know there was an interception earlier in the game.
Right.
The interception that led to the touchdown where there was a similar jersey grab. Some of it is it's a white undershirt. It's not even his jersey, and it's super stretchable. I don't know if he could have caught the ball. I have no idea. But it was so egregious, I thought it had to be called. And, man, that back judge, he sat on it for a second. He stewed on it. Right?
No, I mean, again, the throwing of the late flag shouldn't really make a difference. It's just the way that it feels when it occurs because you're clearly struggling as to whether or not you should be calling it.
Which anybody would, which is it's totally human. Okay, let me ask you. What about you?
I felt as though, given that there had been some other questionable calls throughout the game, and especially that there was an interception earlier in the game that proved to turn into points for the other team that they didn't call it on, I thought as though that they probably should have let it go.
Byron, where are you on the call?
Yeah, I thought it was a penalty and should be called. Should be.
Yeah,
called.
There's certain things that I'm a let him play guy. I really am. But there gets to a point where you're like,
I was surprised that Brady went to Tyler Johnson in that situation.
I don't think it was Tyler Johnson. I think it was who was covering him. And Tyler Johnson was going to be open, but I think it was who's covering him.
Sure, no, and fair enough.
They found the weak link, and that's who they wanted to pick.
And that's what Brady has done throughout his career. And
who was the defensive back from the Steelers who talked bad about Brady? It's like a decade ago. And Brady went at him the entire game. I think he's out of football. I think he might have been out of football right after that game.
Oh, I can't.
You remember what I'm talking about?
I don't actually, just right off the top of my head. I can't.
They were playing the Steelers. It was a regular season game, and one of their defensive backs, who was a rookie, popped off and basically was like, Tom Brady ain't all that. And, yeah, it was bad.
Anthony Smith, does that sound right?
Okay, what's it say?
It says in 2007, Steelers safety, this is from Mass Live,
yes,
a guarantee to win against the 12-0 Patriots.
That sounds about right.
Okay.
Sounds about right. It wasn't just that they beat him.
Sure.
It was that he went right at him. Right at him. And, yeah, it was Anthony Smith. I'm looking at it right now. And then Randy Moss caught a 63-yard touchdown pass running right past Smith. And they went at him the entire game. The Patriots passed 46 times, 400 yards, 399, and 4 touchdowns. It was amazing. Let's welcome in Trent Dilfer. He's won a Super Bowl before. He is a savant when it comes to the position of quarterback. Let's start with the play. Do you believe pass interference should have been called, all things considered?
Yes.
No.
Absolutely. I mean, the jersey pull gained him a man advantage. He had beaten him off the line, beaten him across. I mean, yeah, absolutely. That's, in my book, that's cheating.
Okay, let's start with Brady. How can we, you throw two arm punts, 2 bad picks, but he was really sharp to start the game. I mean, look, Leonard Fournette had he had a bunch of drops in the first half. He was on point with just about everything in the first half. And then, of course, that incredible throw at the end of the half, after the interception, after the 4th down conversion. But in totality, how did Brady play?
Probably not to his standards, because he, throwing interceptions is the worst possible sin in his life. But I agree with you. I thought he just started the game so resolute, so decisive. It was literally like he went in there saying, "I am the best player on the planet, and I'm about to show everybody my age doesn't matter. I love the weather. This is perfect. This is my kind of day." And was just awesome in the first half. Now, was supported in the second half through those two mistakes. And I like how you led it. 2 arm punts. Totally agree with that statement. The one where he comes late over the middle to Evans, yes, it was high and it was not a good throw, but Evans also he missed times his jump. And I think Evans would probably admit that. That one is kind of a combination Brady and Evans. Defense bailed him out, which is what good defenses do. I mean, they played good team ball, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, people want to make what happened yesterday who played best at quarterback, and that's not the game. The game is who played the best football as a team, and I think Brady allowed his team to play the best football, especially with how he started the game.
Aaron Rodgers' last possession. They get down 1st and goal from the 8-yard line, right? First down. It's an RPO, but apparently somebody, was that Alan Lazard who ducked the ball? So it's like, whoa, you're throwing to me? Like a miscommunication. What'd you think of the call? What'd you think of the decision?
Hold on a second. Bad decision to throw the ball in the RPO. The guy you're RPOing is playing pass. So that's the thing they didn't catch on the telecast is it was a terrible decision to pull and throw by Aaron. The guy they're RPOing is playing pass, so it's a hand look. And if you notice, Aaron throws it behind Lazard because as he's throwing it, he sees the inside defender taking a beeline. It's going to break Lazard's ribs. So I put that one on Aaron. That should have been a give.
Okay, so put the first down on Aaron. Second down, he steps up in the pocket and looked like it was collapsing. But again, instead of running it, they didn't run the ball, but also he didn't run the ball. He kind of airmailed one where only Devontae Adams could have gotten it. It was too high. What did you think of the play and the execution?
Now again, I can't remember. Is that the one where the underneath receiver running wide open on the goal line also?
Yes.
Or is that earlier? It was that one. So bad read because I think they have the under route. The guy coming from right to left is wide open. They show on the replay. If I might be wrong here, they're all kind of running together. But he had one red zone possession where he forces it Devontae in the middle of the field on kind of that in and up, the guy from the outside right is wide open. I mean, walk-in touchdown if he hits him in the chest. So he was not good in the red zone. And I'll fast forward. Third down, he can walk in if he runs. So there's nothing wrong with saying Aaron Rodgers was awesome most of the day, except when it mattered the most in those red zone possessions. And this thing with quarterbacks, we'll look at that. Like at some point, he's going to watch that film, and somebody's going to interview him. He's going to say, "Yeah, I made some really bad decisions in the red zone. We could have won that game if I played better in the red zone."
Okay, then the decision to kick a field goal. It's 2 minutes. Huh?
Mind-boggling. Here's my only explanation for it. Just being here at a much lower level, obviously, I'm not trying to compare me calling plays
I got it. Go ahead.
Matt LaFleur calling plays, but you're in the same, it matters the same to me. Like, there are times when you expect something to work and you expect a different situation on the next play. And when it doesn't happen, you go down to look at your sheet and you're a little shook. You're not ready for the next play. Now, it's bad. It should never happen. And I critique myself when it happens to me. My explanation is this. He did not expect to be in a 4th and goal, what was it, from the 8 or 6, I can't remember, situation. And your default is, I have 3 timeouts, I'm going to kick a field goal. And you never do the deep thinking of, I may never get the ball back because I'm playing Tom Brady. My quarterback's pretty darn good, and I want to give him one more shot because we're down here. I'm going to have to score a touchdown and get a 2-point conversion regardless. He didn't do all the mental gymnastics that you need to be doing even before you call the third down play. And the play callers that I was with in my life that I've studied, how I try to be when you talk in play calling circles, you're on your A game, right? You're in the zone when you're a play or two ahead. And anytime you're reacting in the moment to the situation, you're probably making a bad decision.
Got it. No, I agree. Well, here's and I think you would probably agree with this in terms of the actual play in basketball. If you see him open, it's too late, right?
Yes.
If you see him open in football, if you see him open, it's too late. If you know he's coming open, well, that's when it's the right time to that's when it's the right time to throw it to him. This whole idea where you see numbers and you throw to numbers, like, that doesn't happen very often. Like, most time, guys open, you see it, everybody else sees it as well. It's the same as a play caller, right? If you're just that split second late. Okay, so here's kind of what's lost in it, right? The Buccaneers kick returner, he goes down. What is he doing?
That was crazy.
What is he doing? What are you doing?
Well, I thought Troy was good. Troy goes, he must have been told to go down because they had miscalculated the math. Like, the coaching staff, the special teams coach must have said, hey, you're going to catch it. You're going to run for X amount of seconds, go down, and we're going to get to the 2-minute warning. And they just did the math wrong. My wife even pointed it out. And she, you'd think she knows a lot of football. She doesn't know that much football. She goes, what's he doing? Now they get an extra timeout. And I said, duh. It was really the only special teams mistake they made, too, and they've been bad on special teams, but that could have cost them.
Yeah, Packers are not good on special teams either. And then I thought here was a smart play after a first down run that took them to the 2-minute took them to the 2-minute warning. The Packers intentionally jumped off sides and made contact. So is that a rule that needs to be changed? Because
it is. I wrote it down. We're going to do it if it doesn't get changed, if we're ever behind. And the other thing is, I think they could have declined it, too. I think the Bucs could have declined it.
Can you decline it if you make contact?
I don't know. I honestly have it written down on a notepad. Phil Dawson is my rules guru, and I'm meeting with him this afternoon to ask him that exact question.
The kicker? The old punter?
Yeah, he's my special teams coach.
You wait. You have Phil Dawson as your special teams coach in high school?
Yeah, 21-year NFL vet. It's the best.
But that's it. There was so much. It's what I called Ryan Music, my producer, after the game, and I was like, "That's my whole show." He's like, "Well, there's another game." I was like, "No, that's the whole show," because there's so much in it. Like, that was a play where the similarity to me and the genius of that play was. Do you remember the end of the Ravens-Niners Super Bowl, where the Ravens were trying to run out the clock? And so what they did was they snapped it on a punt, and everybody held,
yes.
Okay, because what happens on a penalty? They run out the clock, and you do it again, right? I mean, it was the whole thing is genius.
We practice it at high school. It's a great one. There's all kinds of nuance in the rule book that if you do some deep diving into it, you can use the rules to your advantage in management situations. Yeah, I agree that you could have done a whole show today simply on the management of football and what came up yesterday. It was awesome. I think play calling too. I think play calling. I don't want to take you on a tangent that you.
No, take me on a tangent. No, it's way more interesting than what will happen with Aaron Rodgers and is Tom Brady the greatest of all time. Like, I could do all that. Like, go to your play calling, the things you wrote down, right, the things that are interesting to you.
Here's the thing that's interesting to me. Right now in these hiring cycles, okay, you're going to have all these coaches who've been working the phones at the back half of the season prepping for their next job, because that's the business of football, college and pro. So now they're getting jobs. So they're going in and they're interviewing with these owners that don't know much about football, these GMs that unfortunately a lot of them don't know a lot about the actual game of football. They know the management of football, but not the game of football. And they're all talking about play calling. And basically the standard line is, we all run the same stuff and call the same stuff. And that couldn't be further from the truth. What you saw yesterday with Bruce Arians, Byron Leftwich, Tom Brady, and I called it a three-headed monster, and then Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, is you saw people that are just flat out running better stuff and calling it at better times. And there's going to be, if you have coaches listening, that Dilfer, he's so full of crap. And I'll be like, no, I'm not. And I can prove it. I can go to games and show you how certain formations, certain play calls, certain schemes activate your defense in a certain way and put more conflict on your defense that you don't have an answer. Like, there is no answer. It's not a blown assignment. It's not my dude's better than your dude. It's that my play is better than your defense. And you saw it on the around that they got the first down to end the game with the Bucs. You saw at the end of the first half with the bunch formation by putting Scotty Miller as the 1 player instead of the 3 or 2 player where he usually lines up in the formation, and bluffing that he's going to run the little out route to get 6 more yards to get a closer field goal, and he goes vertical, and the corner's playing the flat route. So they activated that corner. He's been told all the time, hey, jump number 1 on the out route. Don't give him the freebie. That's why his hips are inside. He's looking to break. Instead, he gets run by. I can go on and on and on. Kansas City ran about 6 or 7 plays directly out of the University of Alabama's playbook. The other day, they ran college pin and pull outside zone to the boundary with a bubble force screen to the field. I can go on and on. Their plays are better. They're better coached. They're smarter. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a wide chasm between the everyday play designer and play caller and the elite play designer and play caller.
Okay, so help me out though with the defensive call. I understand that you think they're trying to get 6 more yards to kick a field goal. Why are they not in too deep zone?
Well, bunch
or in quarters or something. Why? I mean, you had a safety and a linebacker. You had a linebacker spying and a safety at the line of scrimmage. Like what? Why are they? Why is Mike Pettin have them in that at the end of the first half?
It's a terrible call. So I don't think anybody can dispute that it was a terrible formatting of a defense. The reason why they did it was because they guessed that Tampa was trying to get a short completion, because I think it went from 6 seconds to 8 seconds on the clock.
Right.
So remember, there's that debate. It was 6 seconds, and they put 2 seconds on. It was 8 seconds. So plenty of time to throw the speed out. Some kind of creative little thing, run out of bounds, have 1 second left to kick a field goal. So that's what they're played against. Now, how they did it was terrible. Tony Dungy, of all people, put out something that's the worst play design I've ever seen on defense in that situation. They should have clouded the point guy, so they should have put a corner up on the point guy in that bunch, and he's a cloud corner, so he has the quick out, he has the flat. They should have protected him with another safety over the top of that, and then kicked back that safety linebacker that you saw in the middle of the field. I mean, that's what most teams do in that situation. But even with the defense they played, they stayed in that look to prevent the quick pass, and the fact that Brady, Leftwich, Arians knew that that's how they were formatted. If you notice Brady's eyes, did you notice Brady's eyes on that? They showed a great replay of him just pinning that safety. I mean, staring that safety and keeping him in the middle of the field. He didn't even look at Scotty Miller until his arms already started back, because I think once he saw the look, he's dropping back saying, I can't believe they're giving me this. If they're going to give it to me, I'm going to pin this safety and keep him there so he can't help over the top, and I can put some air underneath this ball. Terrible call, great execution by the Bucs to take advantage of it.
Yeah. Okay, what else?
This got go ahead. You go.
Well, I'll make sure you think of your table your thought for 1 second. They were 2 arm punts, but I did think that the Buccaneers pressure on Aaron Rodgers, he was not comfortable, and he wasn't able to be himself for much of that game, and he started dumping the ball off, and it was great. I guess why not the screen game? Why couldn't they run at some of that outside? There's a lot of pressure on the outside. Why couldn't they run at it? I'm wondering why an offense that was such a well-oiled machine was so unable to take advantage of the turnovers by the Buccaneers.
Here's what I thought was really interesting. As we all do, we had to talk about the game going into the game. And my big thing was I know how Todd Bowles wants to play coverage and use his pressure schemes with coverage schemes, with man combo schemes. And it's really hard to throw the ball against in passing situations. I said Green Bay's been able to run the football. LaFleur came in there and convinced Aaron that these 2 tight end sets, the bunch formations, getting receivers up on linebackers and safeties, running the rock, and then the play action is really where they've made their hay. Aaron's still great from the drop back spread game, but really what differentiates this offense is their ability to go Mike Shanahan, Denver Broncos, right? They can go big, tight, hammer you, play action pass, move the pocket. They didn't even try to do that. I mean, I think they ran the ball the second first down of the game and got stuffed, and they never got into their 2 tight end packages. They never got into the bunch sets and tried to run the football and then play action pass out of it like they did against the Rams. They didn't even attempt to do it. It was almost like, okay, we're going to go back to the Mike McCarthy spread stuff that Aaron loves to do. There was very little pocket movement. When you're getting 4-man pressure like that, one of the first things you have to do is change the launch point. And I don't want to guess whether it was Go ahead.
Well, no, they did on that big third down in the first half. Remember, they were really struggling in the first half, and they rolled the pocket. And that was a great play. But you're right. They never did it again. They never went back to it.
And what they were so good at late in the season especially was they did a lot of the, and I don't know what you want to call it, I call it the Shanahan stuff. They did a lot of the Shanahan stuff on early downs, early in games, because they're setting up big plays. Because when you have receivers diving down to block linebackers and crack safeties, it activates a different version of your defense, and those people have to trigger in the run game. And once they trigger in the run game, now you have big, fast dudes running down the field against safeties. And, I mean, they've made countless big plays doing that this year, and they never established the run game in order to be able to do that stuff. Then they didn't have an answer on early downs to move the pocket and hit Tanyan in the flat for 6 yards. I think they did it one time. Or get Devontae on the boot game. I mean, so many things they were known to do this year, they just didn't do, and it fed into what Todd Bowles wanted.
Yeah, no, I thought the coaching staff got rattled, the play calling got rattled. Last thing, I got like 30 seconds. Like good Aaron Rodgers plays for the Green Bay Packers next year.
100%. He's playing for Green Bay. All this stuff this morning and yesterday's garbage. He makes too much money. The contracts are guaranteed. He's not going anywhere. It's just not going to happen. A lot of these narratives that you saw last night and a lot of stuff you're listening to this morning just isn't realistic. It's like the Jared Goff contract. 4 years is guaranteed. You're not getting rid of Jared Goff. Aaron Rodgers is staying in Green Bay.
Agreed.